It is pointless to resist.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Sarlacc Digest, a podcast bringing line talk and digesting Star Wars topics over 1,000 years. This is episode 280 being recorded on October 9th. I know, 2024. I'm your host, Darth Moocher. I've got Scott Solo here with me.
What's up, nerds?
Grand Animal Franz.
Hi.
And what a treat! Bootleg Joe is here, not in chat, but he's here. Welcome back.
Hello.
See his Patreon went through, so he's back on the show. So
that's all. Finally.
Welcome back, Joey. It's good to have you, man. It's going to be a good show. While we patiently await Ernie's arrival. Ernie's arrival, but that 500 is something to be proud of. So
celebrated.
Celebrated,
man.
It's just going. I mean, when you got that milestone, you just kind of keep rolling with it. But anyway, first off, before we get into all the great Star Wars talk that we got for this evening, kick it over to Scott because our Shadow Council needs desperate attention right
They
now.
really do. They're so needy. So needy. First off, though, I got my headphones like turned way up, dude.
Oh,
I was listening to our theme song, and your son killed it on that music, man.
Uh,
Mikey did a great job on that music.
thank
It's
you.
very
I'll
good.
tell him. I'll let him know.
All right. Special shout out to our wonderful shout out council. That is AJ from the Forbidden Panel, Brandon and Anya Epler, Brian C., Cliff, Commander Cook, Crystal E., Dennis McGrath, Don the Dad Dorn, Eric Grubb, Flavy Davy, formerly of the Nerdist with Aptitude podcast, Gavin Connor from the Holy Are All Care podcast, Justin the Vanilla Thunder, Luke, aka LOB Collects, Mervine Balanos, Matt Logic, Muftak is back, Nicholas Schaefer, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Papa Schmitty, and Ryan and the Star Joe's Mother Effing Podcast. Welcome aboard, everybody. Glad you're here. If you want to become a member of the Shadow Council, just scan that QR code right there or go to patreon.com/Sarlacc Digest Podcast. Words are hard. Sarlacc Digest Podcast, and donate a couple of bucks. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes. And speaking of the people who are here live and anticipating great Star Wars, the Pit is here. And let's go ahead and shout them out too, because they're equally important.
They are. Commander Bly.
He's always first, real early, like early where the chat fell off, but it's still here. I still preserved it.
I see that. There you go. You are preserved in carbonite, Commander Bly.
Yes.
Then we've got Gordon Skalski. We've got Don the Dad Dorn.
He doesn't say hi to us. It's just Scott and Gordon. That's it. Just forget the rest of the three. No, not you. Yeah, okay. Well, that's fine.
All right. We got Chet Maddox in there. What's up, Chet?
Up, Chet? Let's see, Brian. Yeah.
Rhino Hobbies right there. He's hanging out. Who else have we got? We got Mando Mike. He's in there, and yeah.
Yep, and we got
Dr. Brantley. What's up, Dr. Brantley?
Hey, yes. Shadow Network is in the house. They're representing in there. So,
I thought that was my urologist. Different Brantley. Different Dr. Brantley.
Oh man,
no.
So of course, scouring the Star Wars net. It there's not much, but there is the 55 days till Skeleton Crew, till the internet blows up, till we all blow up, right? But in the meantime, let's enjoy Star Wars as we kind of regress a little bit.
I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna love it.
Don't say that. You said that before, Chris. You had that mantra before.
You know what, Chris? You should join us on the toy chest, because on the toy chest on Monday, I'm pretty sure we're going to show some figures that dropped early, and including the pirate captain, who is very cool looking. So it's kind of exciting. Yeah. Seriously.
That we do a toy chest on Monday, so we're back on that schedule. So so when the time comes when we have this lull, we spin the wheel, we come up with theories, we do kind of like scour and see if what's out there and everything. But there's one subject that I've been wanting to bring up for a long time, and I figured this is perfect, right? I wanted to do a Moochers Monday with this, but I didn't want to do it by myself. I wanted to bring you guys in there. I wanted to bring the Pit in there. And I know from talking to the Sarlacc crew here, but I do want to know what the Pit's opinion is, because we're roughly all around that same age where we kind of remember Star Wars. Not as old as Scott, but...
What? I can't hear you. I've got the volume up, but you don't quite come all the way through.
So the ones of us who grew up with Star Wars in the 80s, like, with it as kids, and then, got back into it, there was a time that's dubbed in today's standards that wasn't back then, that we dubbed the dark times, right? So what is the dark times? And I think it means different to everybody, but in general, it is a time period where Star Wars was at the very top, and then all of a sudden it was just nowhere to be found. And then roughly for the next 10 years, until the resurgence of Kenner or Hasbro and the prequels, coming back into it, we kind of like receded in our lives, consumed more pop culture than anything. But I feel Star Wars flame for us was lit, as growing up with. That's what we're so passionate about, the original trilogy. And I always say the dark times were actually the time where we flourished as Star Wars fans, falling in love with Star Wars, like realizing, wait a second, I love this IP. And then when it came back, it was like, boom, yes. And then that's when the world took off again with Star Wars. But we also refer to the dark times also as like nobody really talked about it in high school, like Chris, like we met Chris and I clicked on Star Wars, but it wasn't like we knew each other were Star Wars fans because we weren't talking about it, but we were living it in our own little way until somebody mentioned something, and it's like, what? Wait a second.
Well, then all of a sudden we had those video games come out. Comes out. All those things.
Yeah, the resurgence in '95 with Kenner and the Power of the Force 2 figures are what really started. That kind of paved the way to the '97 special edition re-releases and Shadows of the Empire and all that.
Like that resurgence, and that's when we all kind of like, yes, like
But I don't know if there was a love. I want to say in that dark times, it really was a dark time. Like I didn't think as much about it at all because it wasn't front of mind anymore. There were other things taking hold. We had Batman come into 100%. The fray. A lot of other movies came out after that. Yeah. Things moved on, and we didn't have this instant stuff we have now. We had videotapes. We were watching everything else. We're trying to tape it on. I had like overdubbed copies and real copy. All this shit.
Right.
But
and that reminded me of what you just said right there. Was the commercial for the special editions, the trailer for it. For an entire generation, people watch Star Wars just like this. You saw the little X-wing fighter flying through the little TV, and then Wedge's fighter blew up the X-wing and flew through the explosion cloud, and all of a sudden special editions were coming.
I'd watch it when it was on a channel. I still do, by the way.
TV.
And it's almost every time I go to a hotel. I swear to God, one of them.
It's on all the time.
I watched Rise the other day, so help me God. I'm just like,
but if you're at a hotel, I mean,
it's all it's on. It's that or the pay channel.
TBS,
I'm not doing that.
TBS,
right?
Is it
TBS?
AMC or TBS? One of the two.
I forget what it was, and then I can always watch CSI too. One of the two.
Right.
Anywho. It's just I just think it was I don't know that I thought much about it. So when we had that, but it was I remember because I was working at Target when those toys came out, and it was like, what the hell are these?
Clicked,
and it was like, I can't believe it, and it was immediate. It wasn't any thought around it, nothing else. And I was back in going at it, and it didn't take
that
to light it.
That's what I'm thinking, like, because that, like I said, when that time period where, like I said, we were kind of like grew up a bit, and then we're starting to go into, like I said, high school and all that stuff. It wasn't in the forefront. It wasn't on our walls, but
it was you did more music. You did more other movies. Everything else,
you did that, and it just took that. Yeah, and it just took seeing it to be like, it's not that I remember it. It's not that I enjoyed it. I freaking loved it.
I went right back into collecting everything. I went back to I bought all the old figures again.
100%.
Everything else immediately. It was just one of those things where I regretted the last 10 years. Like I had missed it so much. It was like, what the hell? There was a void in my life. I didn't actually. You know what? No, it wasn't the toys, dude. It was before the toys. It was Heir to the It was actually it was actually Dark Force Rising, because I hadn't seen Heir to the Empire that existed yet. It was Dark Force Rising was the first book
92.
Yeah, right.
92.
And so I got that, and I got Heir to the Empire because I realized this was book 2. So that's how it went. That's what really did it.
B. Dalton,
because I had done the book report on that one in freshman year, sophomore year, whatever it was, and that was the resurgence. Like, oh shit. And then we started talking. That's when the talk started going on around. Like, if we're sitting there smoking and drinking around, playing some video games or doing something, we started talking about, hey, actually, and you started telling about the story after. Like people didn't know, and you're like the storyteller at that point. You get to be 3PO for everybody who's not reading books.
That's right.
And I remember those conversations. So that was it. The toys just took it to the next level. Then it was nonstop from there.
Yeah. I remember working at Service Merchandise, and that's what I would do. Or not Service Merchandise, Music Plus at the time in '92, and I was reading Heir to the Empire at lunch. I'd sneak a couple chapters in during my lunchtime because it was like a drug that I had just rediscovered. So. Yeah, but then working at Service Merchandise with Mando Mike and I were, like he said, bogarting all the red and green cards. I remember pulling that box off the conveyor belt in the warehouse, and it said POTF2, and I'm like, "What is this?" And because I was the assistant manager for the toy department, dangerous position for me. Open it up, and all of a sudden, here's Buff Luke and Buff Vader, and I'm like,
"What is this? What's happening?"
I would go back and I would take one of everything. I would just go back to the back. I knew it came in. I'd see this shit, and I'm like, oh, here we go. I knew how the boxes went, and I'm like, well, this is my one. Go to the next one, my one, and bounce. And
before
then the people could have the rest. There were no chases or anything until you started. I guess there were.
Not until the Wizard World magazine came out with that back price guide where it said long saber, short saber, and they had
half circle.
That's when all that
long tray, short saber,
hologram.
I remember. I remember my mom had come over and she sees the Millennium Falcon. She's like, I can't believe you still have that. I'm like, I don't. I bought it. She's like, oh God. And she just
this is new. Before like the whole resurgence, we can only find, like I said in the description I put, we can only find Star Wars in the dark corners, right? It was the Hallmark stores. We had the plates and the ornaments. They still had that. I remember those because I would pre-order them all, and even I had no money, I had no job, but I put in there and I put it on layaway. And Spencer Gift Store, right? The PVC 12-inch figures, the porcelain mugs,
Suncoast.
Suncoast had a little section, but that's the thing. Like I did, when I had moved and everything, I had a friend that I kept in touch with, and we would be on the phone and we would just talk Star Wars. We would theory craft Star Wars. Everything like what Yoda was saying. It was just so like, I felt like it was just this little world that nobody cared about, but I didn't know what was happening. Like, I really didn't know why I was talking, why I was so drawn back into that fray of revisiting the movies. Like I said, the dubbed copies that I had, and like no toys or anything. And seeing the stuff at Sunco, going to pawn shops or antique stores and seeing like the old school Kenner stuff just flooded back. And then going to B. Dalton, always with the sci-fi section where they had the Han Solo adventures, had the Heir of the Empire, had audio books back then, or it was the tape book on tape that you can get. Yeah. And I remember like, oh man, Star Wars is still the thing, but I never knew that I was actually like
missing
igniting this flame to when the resurgence came. It was just like, it was like the Balrog, you know what I mean? It was just like, oh crap,
What about you, Joey?
I was in perfect hibernation.
Were you?
So, but I mean, after the movie stopped, I wasn't like you guys. I didn't get into the novels or the toy collecting. I mean, I had stuff from when I was a kid, but I never really went out and started collecting again until the prequels came out, and that's when I started again. But from the time that the original trilogies ended till about around the time the special editions came out, that's when the
97,
that's when I woke back up. And
see, we were in pretty deep at that. We were in pretty deep at that point because we were going to those movies together. We were in.
Look, because the Star Wars Insider magazine was a quarterly magazine, and it came back early. Like I want to say 94, I think is when it came back.
I think it was originally called Star Wars Galaxy, wasn't it? The Star Wars Galaxy magazine, and then it switched to Insider. Different. Or was that the Topps version?
Yeah, the Topps was a Galaxy because that's still around today. Yeah, so the Star Wars Insider was, you got that with the George Lucas fan club, right? He would give you a newsletter, you give him a sticker, and you get a subscription for a year for the quarterly magazine. And I still have all the Star Wars Insiders from that time. And again, it was like one of those things where I knew I loved Star Wars, but I didn't know that I was like really falling in love with Star Wars all over again. It was just something that I was into, and I felt like I didn't have anybody else to talk to about it, so I would just kind of like be a hermit and do it. And in that magazine, I think it was issue number 2 that came out, or the summer edition, Kenner or Hasbro says like they bought Kenner, and Kenner is going to revitalize the line of the Power of the Force 2 figures. And then there was this whole talk about the actual film, Star Wars films, being deteriorated. And this is why they went back frame by frame and surfaced them, refreshed and made it put it in digital formats, because we were losing the films forever. And that's the reason why they went back to the THX remaster. Then George Lucas was like, well, if we're going to do this, and we did so great on Jurassic Park, we're going to go and do the special editions. And then that worked out great for him. And then we're going to do the prequel. So like it was just an avalanche of things. And it's funny because again, how the dark times were, nobody really was like talking about it in droves for George Lucas to come back and do it all. But I think he took a gamble, and it did, because I understand like the 80s, it was a world craze phenomenon, but so was Ghostbusters, so was Gremlins. I mean, there was a lot of movies that were just a craze, and then it ended just as fast as it came, right?
So quick question. Were the special editions the first time that somebody really looked at an older film, took it, remastered it, and added footage into it, like it to that extreme? Like I know, like, and don't at me here, but Star Trek 2 had the TV cut where you had a little bit, a couple extra minutes in it, right? But I'm trying to think of another movie where they really had that much bonus content added. Not just bonus content, but completely reshot footage and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure no, because the CGI there wasn't. That was them like inventing it,
inventing as they go. Yeah.
I'm not talking just about the CGI though. I mean the complete.
But I think you're right.
Of scenes. You know?
I can't remember anything other. Like I said, sometimes they go, "Oh, there's a director's cut footage that they added to it," but nothing where they actually recasted Ula and reshot a scene.
Same girl.
Same actress.
Yeah.
And went through all three movies, and George Lucas put his musical number and all that stuff in there because he's like, they're never finished in my eyes. But no, I think just like anything else Star Wars did, it was the pioneer for a lot more of it. Actually opened the gate for a lot of directors nowadays go, oh, just throw it out what's out there and we'll fix it later. You know what I mean? And I think
fix it in post.
I hate that. Or after the fact,
because there's a difference between a director's cut, a special edition, and the Star Wars special edition, right? Because those other things are things they had already filmed, added in, might have just had to re-edit or touch up some CGI. He straight did new shit 30 years or 20 years later. That's probably the deal.
I see Dr. Brantley saying Close Encounters, the special edition. I don't know if I've ever seen something that wasn't the special edition of Close Encounters.
The special edition, Dr. Brantley, but was there added filmed, like they went and filmed added scenes for, or they just
20 years later?
And
it was only two after, so it was like, it's kind of like something, maybe like a director's cut, like Superman.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So maybe, yeah, exactly.
And this isn't what we're talking about.
Right. Those were
already, those were
extended.
Extended, like, or a Snyder cut's not the same type of thing. That's
right.
Same footage, different,
Oh, okay. Dr. Brown is saying they added.
We're gonna make sure that nothing else fits. So Lucas is the only one that's ever done it. Nothing else is the same. That's different.
Now we could say, well,
it's a bunch of bullshit.
Who used CGI to do? You know what I mean? Now we're gonna plug.
Now it's all over the place. Now,
Didn't they say somewhere though that they used the special editions like a way? They were using the special editions to test out the new special effects, like
kind of like
blowing up, like the blowing up of the Death Star, how they did the whole with the circular motion.
It was so when ILM did Jurassic Park, right? Like when they were involved in Jurassic Park, and George Lucas saw the technology had caught up to, meaning they can do these full creatures and all that stuff. That's when he started looking at like, well, the shots that we kind of cheapened out on, the Death Star explosion or some of that Death Star trench run, he added a bunch of stuff. That's where I think his creative juices, and he was right on track, right? But then they could do a T-Rex to the T, but they couldn't get Jabba the Hutt to even remotely, But and he let that. It's like one of those things. I go, wow, George Lucas let that slide. Like he let that go, And but I think he always said, like, I have his book that kind of goes through the whole thing, and he always says, look, to him, Star Wars was never done because it was rushed. They ran out of money all the time. They were, nobody believed in them at first. And so they really had to cut a lot of corners, especially with the cantina scene. That's why he went in with a couple shots of new creatures and stuff. And I don't think he was still satisfied with that, but it was an opportunity to, since they're revisiting the films anyway, they're like, well, let's go ahead and do these special editions, and put it out there, and a marketing genius that they are,
Bonanza.
fueled the prequels, and then the craze of the toys coming back, I think revitalized the toy industry itself, because
brilliant.
to rebrand it in a way, even though it was kind of goofy at first with the buffness and all that stuff. It was a weird decision, but it still worked. I mean, it's still nostalgic for it. We still love them.
It fit the action figure aesthetic of the time, right? Because at that time, McFarlane Toys, which was Todd Toys, was really big, and they were into the really buff superhero-esque. DC was doing their thing through Hasbro, or I think it was Hasbro. No, Kenner was doing Batman. They were also all the really buff, so they were following suit. And we actually had a Han Solo and a Luke Skywalker that kind of looked like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Princess Leia still looks like Anthony Kiedis, but
she's rough. It was a lot closer.
But you're right. They were better looking heads.
Yes.
Their bodies were just wild.
It was the superhero mentality of Hasbro back, or the toy industry back then, right?
Even Archie was buff.
Even 3PO might have had a couple packs there. So.
3PO did. 3PO
did.
3PO had last.
Was he?
Yeah.
He was kind of top heavy and very skinny in the waist. It's like
Chewie and Vader. I mean,
he had a tape. Chewie was ridiculous.
Yeah. but we ran around the whole Southern California looking for them, man. And that's just got me thinking about that, because we do mention the dark times a lot, and it always makes me really kind of like meditate on it and be like, wow, the course of events that even brought us Star Wars in the first place was on a thin razor's edge anyway. Star Wars almost didn't get made on a minute level back then, and we got this big craze that we all grew up as in kids and lived in this world, and then taking a chance again, coming back to me was like, it's like, hey, do people remember this after 10 years, give or take? Do people remember this? And would it be as successful, or would it just be a IP kind of like nostalgia craze where a very niche market came in, and luckily we were all on that hive mind. We all had that spark in us. It's a weird thing to think about, walking down the halls, and we do have the same thought process, but we're not communicating. You know what I mean? Like I said, for me and Chris to be friends, it really took a Star Wars conversation that just came up out of the blue. For somehow, I think it was, I went to his house and I saw on your refrigerator, right, you had this Boba Fett costume that you made in X-Wing, and I'm all, who did this? Who did this?
What madness is this?
Yeah, what madness is this? Where is he?
Cardboard and plywood.
And I had to go up to him like, hey man, you like Star Wars?
The funny thing is, I think when I like really felt the spark come out, as far as like going toy hunting, was when all the restaurants were coming out with all the cups and all the the figurines, like all the little, like the ones with the Death Star exploding, and,
the Happy Meal toys and the
Taco Bell, baby.
I had Desiree driving everywhere to every single restaurant looking for them, and then she'd get home, and then I would go. I mean, we would literally like tag team it.
We were calling places. We were calling Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, pissing people off. Like, hey,
I hate Pizza Hut, I hate Taco Bell, and I hate KFC. I ate so much of those three restaurants in that period because of the Frito-Lay promotions, and then it carried over. Of course, the prequels got that same promote because it repeated. Because Taco Bell had the little thing that you spin, a Death Star spins, and it explodes.
Yeah, so that is like right here.
Oh, my house, I had pizza boxes, I had cups, I had you name it, man. It was
the Pepsi cans during the prequel era, where every Pepsi can had the different Mountain Dew and So a question for you guys. During the dark times, whenever nothing was happening, there were no comic books, there were no novels, there was nothing until 92 when Heir to the Empire came out. Did you latch on to any other? I know we were all exploring music and stuff like that. Did you latch on to anything else in kind of its stead? I know that, like you were saying, Ghostbusters, but was there anything that continuously came out and just really caught your eye and really held on?
Man.
Like for me, it was Indiana Jones, right? Because we had, Indiana Jones was, and I watched a lot of Indiana Jones. It's almost like Star Wars out of sight, out of mind, right? So we had a couple of Superman movies come out in the meantime that were crap, but it was Superman and Indiana Jones and Batman. So I latched onto all of that stuff. I think Chris said Batman earlier, but I want to say Batman was probably the next biggest thing I ever really latched onto.
89 Batman, like that whole
I'd say so.
versions of that.
So I mean, Star Wars wasn't far behind it either. So it makes it less of a gap when you think about it, right? It's like you go a couple of years with nothing, and you probably got 2-3 more years in there of Star Wars really just dying down, right? Because you got your toys, you got your stuff. We're growing up a little bit, just changing ways. You still had a couple of years in there. Then we still have our VHS. But every time I was sick, it was still what I was watching most of the time.
Yeah,
right? One of them was on. It was probably Return of the Jedi actually back then.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
And putting that on over and over. I mean, we had the Ewok Adventures for like 2 more years, right? When
85, 86 or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, it kept it kind of at least there. What's up, Ernie? It existed somewhat a little bit, right? Then you get the Batmans, and it kind of takes its place for a couple of years. You don't really think about it. It's just, and then boom, it's back. I guess it wasn't as long as I think.
Like John Graber in here, the space jockey says G.I. Joe. That was like my primary big thing that took over for Star Wars, but it wasn't a movie. That's kind of what I was thinking about. Was more like movie wise, not so much cartoon and toy wise.
Like an IP that ruled for a while. But
I'll
that
bring
works
Ernie
still,
up,
right?
yeah.
Doesn't, I mean, G.I. Joe, it's still kind of, it's besides it being a cartoon, it's the same thing. They had the G.I. Joe movie, the Transformers movie. We had all that going on.
We all latched on. Yeah, we all latched on to these crazes. You know, these things that we had, Transformers and G.I. Joe. And
stuff that's still going on.
Yeah,
there's a reason it's still going on.
But it was always hey, did you see the last thing? And you talked about it and you kind of moved on. I don't think it was ever like you were sitting there theory crafting scenes of years after. And if you saw it at the store, like I said, if you go to Suncoast and it's like, I'm buying this, you know, and it was never like, to me, it was always just like, my other love is horror movies, so it was always horror movies, and I just kind of engulfed myself into that. But
I probably watched
Star Wars was
movies back then too.
Yeah, but Star Wars has always had some sort of inclining to put those VHS tapes after school and watch something. And then once I did, I guess at 13 years old, I was doing that, but I was doing it not knowing why I was doing it. I think that was like the thing, because again, wasn't talking to anybody about it and it had no clubs, we had nothing about it, but it was just a thing that it's like, I remember this, oh my god, I love this, you know. But just to bring Ernie up to speed, so the dark times is we're talking about, Ernie, when the time period that we didn't have Star Wars, but it was always something like when the resurgence of it, we all kind of like came out of that coma together and one as one, and we all kind of clicked. There was a Star Wars craze again that clicked within. It wasn't just another pop culture phenomenon, or wasn't nostalgia. It was like we're connecting with people that we didn't before, you know. Did you have that? Like, did you have a period of time when it was coming back where you realized, like, man, this is something that I've been longing for this whole time. I didn't know, you know, that's when Star Wars came back. It was like,
well, I know we're talking about the cartoons and everything that we gravitated towards as kids, of course.
Yeah.
And then there's the TV shows, you know, your Friday night television, your special shows, you know, your
wrestling.
Saturday night main event. You know, that was our first.
Though, around that time, though, it was kind of a dark time for wrestling around the early 90s. That didn't really kick
early
into
90s.
like the mid 90s. The mid 90s, that was when it kicked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by early 90s, we were getting back into Star Wars. It was more like late 80s is where we are the dark time. So I would think like Hogan and Macho Man kind of took some space up in there.
Yeah.
You know, growing up through that.
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Seeing new characters being brought in. Yeah, you gravitated toward character. A-Team was on.
But it's almost like you had all these things, and all of a sudden Star Wars came back and you dropped it and it went back.
Immediately, dude. Immediately.
Yeah.
Everything else, the room became Star Wars.
That's
everything else came down. Every band came down. Everything else came down. It went Star Wars immediately.
But
it went hard.
It was crazy for me though, because I remember around that time they started making
hey Gordon,
newer Godzilla movies at that time, because they also went a long time from like the late 70s till early 90s to where they started making Godzilla movies again. So that right there was a resurgence for me until like you said, like the new the special editions came out.
Yeah. Well, Gordon's got us all beat. I'm sorry. Gordon was into girls. All right, dude.
And they talk back?
I was gonna say, they just weren't into me.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't
Oh.
always this piece of meat.
How did you get them to take back? Yeah.
Hal Runner base checking in. I know John Gruber had to
up,
go
Hal
to
Runner?
sleep. Thanks for checking out, man. No one watches Artie is here.
Chris has had a lot of work done. You
Yeah,
see
well,
old
yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris and I go way back. I remember. You know, it's like,
A lot of work,
you know.
Look at he had it there.
I'm probably due right now for a couple
He's
CCs.
You need some. Yeah. You need some in there.
Yeah.
Tighten it up.
Yeah,
Gordon said it was still dark times. Yeah, no, that's
the
you
well
know,
was still running dry. It was
you
just
know, like I
felt
mean,
better about it.
like I can relate to a lot of those 80s movies of the nerds kind of stuff, like 16 the John Cusack character of 16 Candles. Like that's me. You know, that was me. You know, in my own little
Weird Science
world.
gave us hope.
Weird Science, yeah. I mean, that
we
was
could do
like,
that.
yeah. Where I would love to like.
I watched that not too long ago because you guys said, you know, I said like, damn, you know, I haven't watched Weird Science since I was a kid. It's creepy as an adult, dude. It's like
No way.
I still watch it.
No, man,
it's all our fantasy, man. It's all our
I
fantasy.
get a creep factor out of it. I'm like, oh, this is way weird.
No way.
No way.
Yeah, no way.
I'm actually with Chris.
No way. You guys
into the same videos, fellas.
Shower with them.
We
It's
have to
amazing.
shower with them.
We,
You can't even take your shower with a beautiful woman without wearing your jeans.
we have different search history, dude.
Like I said, I would consume myself with movies in general all the time, right? So I didn't know I was missing it until it came back. Like I really did, you know. It's like that was a thing. But yeah, I mean,
When did the last Starfighter come out?
80s.
That was 80s.
Was it 80s?
Yeah, 86, 86, 87. We just went and saw that in the theater again, and man,
I love that movie.
it's great, but dude,
half
those
of it
effects-
holds up, half of it doesn't. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
The story holds up though. The story holds up pretty well. It's just those effects.
You know, it's funny because I think just a plethora of shit came out after Star Wars, right? It just like the floodgates open and we got every bit of fantasy, sci-fi,
dude,
everything we could
The
possibly
try.
get in the world. So it opened up a whole lot of stuff for us.
the prequels,
just-
like the prequels,
No, man, the
or
original.
originals.
So during
oh, yeah,
the
yeah,
dark
yeah,
times,
yeah.
after it chilled on Return and everything,
Yeah.
we were just opened up to like they were putting money behind blockbuster
That's-
movies more and going into
Studios-
things.
They
We
were-
had things to keep us busy.
Yeah, they were
that, you know.
even advertising things like they were Star Wars. Like I remember the poster for Krull, right? The poster
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Krull looks
great
like
poster.
it's
Yeah.
straight out. It is, but it looks like it's straight out of like a Star Wars type.
Yeah, he's like
galaxy.
holding up the you know.
Dragon Slayer, right? Even though it was more fantasy, it still had the poster was very reminiscent of Star Wars. You know, it was they were trying to tap that vein, and
They were. You know, when
and
they
every
saw
big
this,
movie that came out would always try to beat Star Wars.
always that
Right,
was
so-
the
so-
the
pinnacle.
next Star Wars.
That also kept it kind of front of mind, at least when a big blockbuster would come out and they would get in the top 10 of movies, you know, and you'd always hear about the Star Wars franchise in there. So that would kind of keep it there and remind everybody the shit still beats everything.
I mean, like I said, it's weird to even have a Dark Times because how big Star Wars was from 77 to 85. I would say, but 84, 85 is when it, you know, it's like I said, the Ewok movie, he tried to go to television. It just didn't pan out. You know, I did watch it all, you know, and all that,
sure.
but it was like, I mean, that was a time of, like I said, the world it reacted to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Just like Grogu now, the world reacted to Grogu. It wasn't just a little cute thing. But yeah, and to have that downward thing where it left just as fast as it came kind of deal. And we were left in the ashes of like Scott was saying, what else? So now we're trying to grab onto something, and what was there? I'm sure we had
Nintendo.
a bunch of other stuff. Nintendo, yes,
Yeah, for sure.
Nintendo.
Nintendo.
G.I. Joe, Transformers,
No,
Great point. Yeah, we're all in those games trying to
100%.
beat every freaking game.
That-
Can't turn it off. Just
that's the answer. We all just grabbed on Nintendo, you know.
Yeah, we were all thinking movies and stuff, but you're right. Everybody had a console
Nintendo.
and everybody going at it. And
To do.
I did not-
Genesis.
no,
I did not have a console, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not a gamer to this day. We didn't have a console.
I was gonna
Nothing?
say it's never too late, but
At all?
No,
he's got
Not
a
until
console as an
Super
adult.
Nintendo.
not until Yeah, I have a console now, but I had a Sega Genesis. Whenever that, I had a Sega Genesis in like
Stop
'92. Yeah,
I love my Genesis.
I never got
That's
this. I
it.
was a Nintendo person, so it's Nintendo,
Jeez.
Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube. Like I never got Sega systems.
I switched over only for the Genesis, then it went PlayStation after that.
You had to
Yeah,
have
I
both
didn't-
because Genesis had the blood for Mortal Kombat.
Well, that's where
Nintendo didn't.
I was waiting for Nintendo to catch up, but I didn't realize like
Yeah.
they're never gonna do this. You know, like
Right.
even their
Yeah.
Street Fighter version didn't have. They had there's a code that you could you had to turn the blood on. There was like a cheat code
For Mortal
on
Kombat.
this.
Yeah.
No, for Street Fighter 2.
Oh, yes, for the red to come out because they
Yeah.
made it colored.
Yes,
I think it was like
Yeah.
green or something.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I loved-
yeah.
I loved whenever you'd finish somebody and they'd like blow up and there were like 17 skulls and 37 rib cages and all that would fly out of their bodies. I'm like,
Mortal Kombat.
what the
man.
hell?
Yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
game was high.
you know,
he was
That
pregnant.
kind of held. Yeah.
Until Genesis, I didn't have anything. We didn't even have an Atari. Julie, now she had Atari, she had Super Nintendo, she had all that stuff. So I'd play games at her place, but that was it.
Yeah. So that held a lot with our cartoons to movies, but then kind of to fixate your mind was video games.
yeah.
Because then now
yeah.
while you were out, Game Boy came out. You know, your console's at home, but then there was Game Boy. Like we had something, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
for
it
me,
was.
Star Wars was still kind of because I know you guys are older than I was, so I was still like Christmas time waiting for it to come on Channel 2. Like that was a staple. Then I ran into mom and dad's room and watched while the whole family's there. So I always associate Star Wars with the holidays because of that. Like
okay.
all the time. I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
do.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they were always on Channel 2. And then for me, from video games to that, and then one day walking in and you see the power of the Force.
Yeah.
So that kept it on because my cousin was the one who had all the figures. I didn't. And now I was a teenager able to buy Power of the Force for myself, you know, and that's where collecting started from. So we had something. And then hearing that a movie was going to come out, and that's what some people don't even realize. For us, it was so different because it was a rumor. We had to wait for like a trailer. I mean, there was talks, but there was nothing as like far. We didn't have internet or nothing to say, oh my God, they're filming. Oh, guess what? I saw, right. Yeah. I saw this and that, and it slowly started.
Yeah.
And then you had like, you know, Doritos and Pepsi merch and like, oh my God, this is happening. And then,
like I said, I had the Star Wars Insider, and that was, and I was, like I said, very religiously reading that since the time of it came back. And then when like I said, the special editions come out, that's, you know, Lucas was writing the prequels back in 96, 97. Like he actually started, but it didn't come public until later on. Then you would see like these, like, here we're back in Tunisia on the Star Wars Insider, you know, we're building the sets, the, you know,
freaking Vanity Fair with their
yes, the TV guides and the
TV guides. I remember collecting all those, the TV guides.
Yep.
But again, it didn't
still
seem
have all
real.
that.
It just didn't seem
Yeah.
real.
That
That's what I'm saying.
Insider, that poster back there was that Insider exclusive.
Yes,
that's the one you had to get from there when you were the.
That's right. You had to send away for it.
That was the send away, exactly.
The shadow one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a double-sided too. Yeah, I got two of them.
That's probably the only thing I ever had professionally framed. Like, took it in and had it done. So I didn't.
When that came out, I remember because the first time we saw it, but we saw it live, was at a theater, like the coming soon kind of stuff, and it was just like I stared at it like, is this real? This is real, right? Like, does this happen? Then when that first trailer hit, I still didn't know what I was watching, and like, I don't think I don't think we were talking as much, or Chris, I don't know, like what, you know, but because I didn't go. Yeah, I did. We were talking. Oh yeah, no, we were. Yeah, dude, we were. Yeah, again, it's a big blur, and then that still research.
That's probably what got us going right there, was the special editions. That's the time frame.
Yeah,
that's where it was.
Yeah. And then of course that opened the door again for another Hollywood craze of Matrix, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
All those movies came right at the heels of a Phantom Menace, right? And it was just like this whole thing, like, oh, they're doing it, we could do it again, you know.
And everything
the world is
and
better.
Everything was going to be a trilogy, a Spider-Man.
Everything was going to be,
yeah. Harry Potter 3 trilogies, and, you know, just do.
Yeah.
It's it did kind of restart the craze for the trilogy, didn't it? Because
Yeah.
I mean, we had Back to the Future before that. We had,
Jones, then
Jones, exactly.
Yeah.
No, there weren't
Yes.
cell phones back
No,
there.
It was pager. And our computers was you ran home to your friend's house and you sat down and you said, watch this.
Yeah.
Your mama's so fat.
My father had a car phone, and that was about it.
Right,
Yeah, he was cool as shit because he had a car phone. So
yeah,
Unless
car
you're
phones
Zach
were a
Morris.
thing.
So pagers were like what 97 or 95, 96, 97, right? In that
Yeah,
range.
yeah.
Cell phone.
my sister had a
Maybe
pager,
90.
and I'm still trying to figure out why. He was a
Your
teenage
friends,
girl
you sent
running around with a
message.
pager.
Yeah,
Yeah.
911. Fool.
I had all
Yeah.
case. I had
Boobies.
cases.
Let's be
I had
real. We
different
got a
cases.
pager that looked like a drug dealer. That's why we
Yeah.
got him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ah,
Nebulous B
Yes.
checking in. Yeah, downloading
What's up?
downloading a trailer took 2 days. Yeah. it did.
Yeah. And
I
their
saw-
computers were matrix. They were green screens, and you went
Yeah,
into
yeah.
chat rooms, and that
Yeah.
was it. And it was your mama's
what kept
room
us
because
busy.
you told right
Downloading
fat
shit.
jokes. There was
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people who did start Star Wars one, but you were like, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking
Exactly.
about.
Exactly. Yeah. I watched the episode 1 trailer in a movie theater, but I did download it at my work computer when I was working, and I had it in a folder on my desktop, and I was just like boom. And I worked down the street from
Marco
at the
special
time-
stuff.
Yeah. Others with other stuff. Yeah. I worked down the street from Man's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, like right down the street. So every lunch hour I would hit Taco Bell, KFC, run down, and because there was their guys were lining up. They had that charity thing for like 30 days, and they were, staying there. And I would go by there, Hollywood, and honk my horn, and then go back to work. And I did that for a long time. It was countdown.com. That's what it was. So countdown.com back in 99, they had a webcam in the street showing the Man's Chinese Theater line. And they had a little chat room, a little chat thing. And just great times, man. Like, and that was like, again, we were part of a movement, and it made us proud to be part of that movement. Right. And that's where, like, when we talk to like Tommy from 1313 and stuff, right? Like, those guys are the generation of 99 and up, the prequels and up. And I know they have this type of nostalgia for them, but they're not witnessing the dark times. And again, we say dark times, but again, it was a resurgence in us to like withdraw. And I think we needed that to really let it marinate and really like, kind of build with us. Because I think if it just kept going and going and going, it would have just been like, that was, I don't know if it would have hit as hard. I don't know. I don't want to know. So
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like even though the dark times we didn't have a Star Wars running, constantly, we didn't have new Star Wars content. I still think it's better than the negativity that we're getting today. I feel like today is a real dark. We have a lot of content, but I feel like the times are darker than they were during the blackout.
Well,
period. That's what we call it. Maybe this is the new dark times, and that's the blackout period.
Maybe we just need another dark times, for the longest time, we thought we're just getting those 3 movies. And then we just thought, we're just getting 6 movies. You know what? After 2005, that was it. It was done. I think, I stopped collecting. Chris stopped collecting. Yeah, we were done.
Any of us thought we were going to get movies. We had the video games. We had all this stuff. We were good. Then they announced the new movies, and we didn't know they were prequels. And we thought they were Heir to the Empire. Then they were prequels. And we thought we were getting Darth Maul for 3 movies, and we got them for 30 minutes. And, it's like, shit.
Yeah. And
we
then
thought a lot of stuff back then. I'm really glad we didn't have the internet the way we have the internet now.
Because even the chat rooms were just bad enough. Again, there's that the people versus George Lucas. I don't know if you remember that. They had all these people. They fans sued George Lucas.
For me,
it's so stupid.
Back in the prequel era, because they didn't like Jar Jar. They didn't like, I think Jar Jar was
lame.
the main.
It's just like all the petitions now.
Yeah,
same
exactly.
stuff.
I mean, it happened back then.
Like,
Yeah. Shadows. That was again, Nebulous B didn't people rage about Shadows of the Empire not being 100% Lucas vision. I don't remember because I was so
Nobody raged on Shadows, bro. That was, you know why? Because that was fully like Lucas backed, right? It was and it was something we needed, and it was cool, and the music was rad, and
I don't remember any rage because I was so into it.
I think he's saying, and people didn't rage.
Oh, didn't rage. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
So, it was and look,
something came out cool. Everybody jumped on board. We were all like, hell, you know why though? Because it was rad. Every bit of it was worked. The soundtrack, you could listen to the soundtrack
was
and feel
amazing.
like Star Wars. The toys were awesome. I don't care what everybody says about flat top Chewie. I'll take a flat top Chewie right now. Right?
I like the red Luke. That was cool.
The guard.
Yeah, those were all cool. I know Scott doesn't dig the fake solo or the Temu solo, but I mean, it and the Wish Falcon, but it worked.
And the circus sideshow Luke, that was
it's
like every Star Wars, though, it has its moments of silliness, right?
Yeah.
Every Star Wars has its moment of silliness, whether it's the special edition Han stepping on Jabba's tail, that's silly. The little droid hitting the other droid in the head, whenever it flies by, that's silly. Circus sideshow Luke is dumb. They all have their moments.
But at least it was in novel format, in comic book format. It wasn't live action.
It was just one of those. It was just really cool multimedia experience. But they still kind of blew with High Republic. They could have done that. It would have been so easy to put that off just like that. A video game, a book, and a soundtrack. Get us started.
Yeah.
That, I mean, the blueprint was there for the most. Besides Heir to the Empire, and if maybe even more successful than that as far as a marketing scheme in the book and multimedia world for Star Wars. I don't think anything else was bigger.
I don't think so, but I also with High Republic, I think if there wasn't a constant onslaught of TV shows and movies and all that not so much movies right now, but the TV shows coming, I think maybe they would have invested more into it, right? But I also think it's probably it's not, I don't want to say it's a lack of confidence in the writers to give them that. I think it's a lack of confidence in the consumers to consume it whenever they've got all this mass media Disney Plus stuff coming, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have all this Ahsoka and Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian, if they hit us with, here's the High Republic with a video game, a soundtrack, some action figures, here's all this stuff, I think it would have gone over a lot better.
Especially in the middle of a lull, like we're talking, right?
Yeah.
You have a little lull and then put that in. You're like, oh, wet our whistle a little bit. Everybody gets into it a little bit more, like Shadows. And there you shit.
Back
and it it launched right at the launch of a giant video game system, right?
That's
Nintendo 64.
Like I said,
it's on the back of the box on the first one of the first 5 games.
What do you guys remember mostly about Shadows? Just seeing it, consuming it. We had no interviews. We had no
I don't know the voice actors.
Yeah, we didn't know any. All it was is a Star Wars product that we just kind of like did. And guess what? We bought it. It worked. And we moved on to the next product, the next product, next product. And again, I think part of the problem today is that it's not just somebody involved in Star Wars. It's their whole life is brought to the forefront. And then they happen to be working on Star Wars. You know what I mean? And that's why I was like, they should be proud that they have a Star Wars IP they're working on and push that in the forefront as your marketing campaign and then go live your life. It's not like all my baggage is coming with me. And then I'm working on a Star Wars project. And now it's your fault that you don't like it. You know, it's a big difference between those kind of marketing and today's marketing. I think people have too much of a voice.
I agree.
What I mean? Yeah.
Social media has it's great because you can communicate with some people and you can communicate with people like Gordon and we can do that.
Yeah.
This wouldn't exist right here if it weren't for social media, right?
100%.
But it gives everybody such a voice that they don't necessarily need. I was listening to just a little tidbit of one of the other, I'd say our competitors, possibly. Somebody with a grand number of followers. Let's put it this way. He does a lot of theories on Star Wars a lot. And
by himself.
By himself.
Oh,
and
he was a competitor.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
He is
not even a colleague at this.
No, it was just so vapid. The words that were coming out of his mouth were just like, Jesus Christ, dude. It was about a video game, and he's not happy about a video game because, of course, he's not happy about a video game.
Yeah,
But the words were just like, just go away. Just
Yeah.
stop if it makes you so unhappy. But Gordon's comment here is
yeah.
really great.
Gordon and Sans, can we just take a moment and wonder at the full Starlight crew all together for the first time in a bit? That's true. We haven't had a full crew of 5 here in a long time since Joey, got a job. And so
Joey's been ably employed for quite a while.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to shout out this SOB right here. Hell Runner, you guys were around to experience Shadows actually releasing in real time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You see these grays? Every one of us are gray, dude. We were all alive and kicking.
And here's the thing. It's like why I did brought up a younger generation, how they went from like prequels on, and you notice like when we talk original trilogy with them, they just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like they kind of like, well, that's cool, but it's all about Captain, Rex and Commander Cody, and we're like, yeah, those are cool.
All Clone Wars, man.
But we were there with this again. That's why this episode that we're bringing up was this time where like as kids, it was a phenomenon. It was a craze, and we were involved, and we talked about it. We played with the toys, but it was also something that we gravitated towards with things. We had G.I. Joes in the same hand. We had Transformers. We had wrestling. There was a lot of things going on. And then, like I said, when the dust clears and like we're still holding that Luke Skywalker figure, so to speak, where it's like, this is what I really, was left standing kind of deal. And that spark where you start to see it come again in front of you, and you just somehow automatically consumed. And we weren't forced to, we weren't told to, we weren't asked to. It was like, Star Wars, I'll take it. And it was like, whoa, what'd I just do?
It's Star Wars. Star Wars is our Woody. It's like, we have all of our other toys that we love and everything.
Cool, that's the burning house toy.
Like you said, when everything else is said and done, I get rid of all my toys. I've got Star Wars with me at all times, and that's what stands.
Yeah.
If you think about it, Star Wars has been a nonstop constant in the media now since 1995. That's 29 years of nonstop Star Wars.
Yeah.
From the debut, I mean, further back if you want to look at Heir to the Empire, right? But in a big way, where it was in everybody's faces, Power of the Force 2 debuted in 1995. It's 29 years of nonstop Star Wars content.
Yeah.
From TV shows to movies to video games to comic books to
toys.
The toys carried the torch when there was a lull. Yeah, I mean,
even during lulls, there were toys. Right?
Yeah,
there were always and comics. Comics have always been a
Dark Horse,
books, right?
And Marvel, Dark Horse, back to Marvel.
Well, I mean, you're right. Even until the Disney acquisition, Kenobi came out right before that, or right during that.
The novels were taken. I have a whole Jedi archives of novels from the that are legends now. Yeah, we lived in we got to live in a times in the world of before social media, before internet presence, where like we went to the bookstore and we found things brand new that they were happening live and in the moment, not 6 months down the line. We never had to pre-order anything and never had to like kind of just do. We went to the movie theater and we saw a movie trailer like, oh crap, Terminator 2's coming. Like that's
check that out.
and then Terminator 2's call up the movies and see the time, the recording time.
Oh yeah. And you had to wait through the whole cycle.
I missed it. Did he say 5%? So
nobody had a newspaper and nobody had a newspaper.
Exactly.
You could get it out of the newspaper if you wanted.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's such an appreciation for that where again, I think I did have appreciation for a time where it wasn't there because we seeked it out and it was wonderful.
Do we need another dark time? I mean, do we need a blackout period?
I said this before even the Disney acquisition, right? I said I was cool. If I never got to Star Wars, I'm cool with taking these 6 movies what we had and experiencing, going home and living and doing what we want with it. I don't think we'd ever step back from it. We just live it. We've gotten some great stuff with the Disney era of Star Wars, right? But we also got some stuff where they just kind of threw things to the wall and let it stay either on the wall or on the floor. What is bothering me with today is the fact that they have the attitude of, if it doesn't work, we'll move on to something else instead of seeing things through. And we didn't grow up that way. Honestly, we did not. We saw so many different sequels because and books and all that stuff that saw a thing through. no matter what. Now it's about the bottom line.
We saw Highlander 2.
Yeah.
Highlander 2.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We stuck through all the RoboCop movies. We stuck through
Jaws.
the Jaws movie. Yeah.
Jaws 3D.
We stuck through Mario Van Peebles and Jaws 4.
All the Batman.
See, look, and then when Star Wars was out of the picture, it got me and Ernie into watching gang violence movies. We were watching American Me and Blood In, Blood Out,
American History X, and
we got into some bad lifestyles because of Star Wars leaving.
Yeah, because Star Wars. Yeah, exactly.
Your wholesome life just went right to shit.
Yeah,
into this world of drugs and gang violence, and we don't know. I'm glad we brought you back.
Yeah.
I'm glad that was
God for
rough
Star
time,
Wars
Pookie.
and toys.
I'm sorry.
but yeah, so that's what kind of almost makes me feel like, look, if it went away, it goes away, because I was just like, we were here for the important part of Star Wars, the Anakin.
Yeah, there's never going to be. I mean, that's the heart, right? That's the core.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, it's the center of it. So that's there, no matter what. Whatever they do around it is what they do around it. So
yeah,
I just get mad at everything because
I just got done watching Rings of Power season 2. Penguin is out right now. And these things are you look at it and you go, even House of Dragon, right? Like you look at these things and go, like the attention to the feel of it, to like the actual wanting to be there. These actors like want to be there, and they're putting their heart and soul into it. Not saying that most of the Star Wars actors don't, but they're quick to point a finger and be like, look, the product we're giving you, you don't like it. Well, that's your fault that you don't like the product I'm doing.
I hate that.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a conflict between creators and fandom, where before it was, we were one. We were hooked on every word Rick McCallum said, no matter what. We were. I mean, yes, there was that audience that sued George Lucas but again, I think it was more just the beginning.
It's the same loud people that do shit now.
Yeah,
they just have a more vocal.
Yeah,
platform.
when the Ewok movies came out, we weren't old enough to go and see if someone wrote a op piece in a
that age
New
I
York
didn't
Times.
care. I just liked what I liked, right? And it was like, oh, that made me happy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I wish there was some sort of attitude adjustment in the Lucasfilm / Disney Corporation, where it's like, look, we're putting a product that it's Star Wars, not how many viewers and how many ticket sales and how many figures we can sell out of this marketing scheme. It's like, look, if we have a vision, then let's take our time and massage that vision. But they're a multi-billion dollar company, and they can't. I understand they can't take those lulls. They can't withdraw because they're losing money every time. But I feel like Star Wars is good enough to where you can have a really good product that lasts longer, so you can have things spread out more in between, a quality over quantity kind of deal.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think I'm at the point now where I think the powers that be maybe need a revolving change. They need to change.
Yeah, it's ingrained in the psyche of everybody. Like it's pop culture. You can take a break. You're all right. You're not gonna.
Yeah, we're consumers. We're good with that, honestly. But we're not in the business, and I get it. And it sucks that our entertainment is a business to the masses out there, because that's not how we consume. And I feel, and I just want to close on my end with that. It's like, I feel like I shouldn't have to be forced to like everything with a Star Wars title on it. You know what I mean? And I don't feel like I am, but there are times where I find myself going like, well, it is what it is, and it's Star Wars, and I have to do this, and I have to, kind of do it. But I shouldn't have to ever be a fan that has to, not afraid of throwing something back. Yeah, throwing something back in there, and like, I don't want this. Throw it back at him.
We just don't want to hate it because we love it. That's right. It's like a puppy that keeps shitting on my carpet.
They were talking about the fact that they want to move to like one project a year for Disney Plus, right? In general, for I think
HIP.
most of their properties, right? HIP, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is fine, but I don't even know if we necessarily need that. Do they need that constant revenue? I mean, unless you want to go with animation and stuff like that to keep everybody entertained, that'd be cool. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that we've already, if they do slow it down, we've got all these shows that are currently in the middle of something, right? And yet they're talking about Kenobi 2. It's like, okay, you want to maybe do a Kenobi 2. First off, why? And
You
secondly,
can't even finish what you started.
where are you gonna put it in the grand scheme of your Tetris board here, right?
Yeah.
It just I
on
think it's
on one
unnecessary.
hand, it's the smallest projects that get the loudest results, like Rogue One,
Yeah,
Andor,
Mando.
Mandalorian, right? Mandalorian it wasn't supposed to be what it became,
Mm-mm.
and it's the ones that Disney puts all their effort to, they kind of, almost flop a little bit, or
Well, I mean, it's crazy because Mandalorian became more popular than
Star Wars.
the sequels. So
oh
it's like,
yeah.
when
And
you-
it's
when-
because
when
of
it-
that little green
Yeah.
dude. I'm telling you, it's
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
Grogu
that
really-
that helmet and head took over the
Yeah.
packaging,
yeah.
right? And that's when you don't see
Mhm.
Vader on the front of stuff.
Yeah,
like
which-
a Star Wars encyclopedia, not having him on the front and Grogu
Right.
on the front is
Right.
wild.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I it's just that I don't want it to become just a watered down version of what we are forced to consume being Star Wars fans and doing this again, because we come from a long line of Star Wars dates from the beginning. We were there at the inception of it. And I just don't feel like I have to fill my shelves up with everything they put out. Which now I'm finding myself now struggling to do that. And like I have to, because it's part of it. And I feel like I shouldn't want that. Like, if I don't like the product you're giving me, I shouldn't be to blame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think they are on the blame game on this.
But then
Like,
you're
they're-
depriving yourself of what there is there. Could it be
Exactly.
better? Yeah,
Now-
but you're like, who are you punishing? You or them? It's
I
like,
know. Like, we always say speak with their wallets, but at the same time, you're missing out. It's
Well,
a
it
very
sucks,
hard
man,
thing.
because it's been a while, like a good longer than maybe more than 6 months since I've bought anything like Star Wars wise, like figure wise. And it's like what you just said earlier. It's if I do, it's because I'm forcing myself just to say, okay, just to have something new to put on the shelf.
Just to continue
Yeah.
the party. You know what I mean? To stay in the energy.
As we're talking about this, I'm thinking back to where I'm watching what I'm watching in the 90s, and then hearing that 20th Century Fox thing come on, and then it was like a bat signal. It's like,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Is this Star Wars? Because it was
Right?
an extended Fox. It's Star Wars. You
and,
know
then
what I
there's,
mean?
and then there's this new breath of fresh air that comes in you, that there's new Star Wars. There's just Star Wars. It doesn't have to be new. It's just there's new life. So, I mean, and I want to feel that again.
Yeah,
But-
someone asked me before, it's like, what are you talking about today? Star Wars? Well, how much is I go, trust me, if we just had the original trilogy, we'd be still doing this podcast talking about the original trilogy on all kinds of things. I mean, there's so much to go into. We theory craft and break down. We would have 7, 8, 9 written already in our heads, and we would have a lot to consume. But at the same time, I am glad that it's still there, and I think what keeps us grounded is the potential of what's next. All right, we got this. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, they stopped that. This is working really well. But
something's bound to click again. It clicked with Grogu. It did. It did. They just put so much stuff around it, so something just needs to click. Again, outside of Grogu.
It's like chasing the dragon, man. You're chasing the dragon constantly, right?
Yeah.
Nothing doesn't feel natural anymore. It feels like they're trying. They're trying too hard, right?
Yeah, trying too hard,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Just sit. Like I always go back to like Rogue One, how it was created. It was a oh god, I can't remember the guy's name, but the OG ILM guy that from the prequels on a piece of paper went to Kathleen Kennedy, said, this is a project like we should look into. And she goes, okay, do something but on the side. And then they developed it, and they developed to a point where the heads had to look at it and go, like, this is awesome, go do that. It was a whim, it was an accident, it was like, and then it wasn't a very try hard thing. It wasn't it was kind of like someone jotted down on a piece of paper, hey, we should do this, and that worked.
It did. And whenever I first saw, I went to that Star Wars celebration where they had like just the poster, and it was a helmet sitting on the beach, and they kind of gave the little teaser trailer where it was like birds flying over a jungle, and I'm like, why? What is this? This doesn't have anything to do with So I went in with low expectations, and then I started seeing the trailers, and I'm like, oh, okay.
When we walked out of that, I was just like, man, Star Wars is on fire. Like, because Force Awakens, it was actually a good visual thing, even though I was like, my first thoughts was like, it's just a rehash. But again, I was like, oh, the potential.
They were two for two. They were two for two.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. And I was down. Like Rogue One came, I go, they can't lose. Disney is on. This is great. And I guess, like I said, we've discussed this. For the most part, they gave us a lot of good stuff.
Oh, we did the scores.
We did the scores, man. There was a lot more wins than there were losses. But I figure the more stuff that they give us, the more losses too are going to build up. Also,
that's what it is. You're just going to get your quantity of shit is going to go up because there's just more of it.
Felipe is checking in, and he misses Bad Batch. I think that show ran its course. But we'll see where it spins off.
If it takes it to the path now, we gotta figure out where she's going. We gotta they teased us with Asajj.
Yeah,
lots of stuff opened up there.
Exactly. Gordon, there needs to be a huge disturbance in the Force, and I will say that disturbance should be we're stay true, because Kathleen Kennedy said this a long time ago, to get out of the Skywalker saga era and go somewhere else with it. And you guys know where I want to go with it. I think that's that is gonna be the new Renaissance. Star Wars Renaissance. And then we could put a segment of this as we had the blackout, and then the true dark times, and then the renaissance of Star Wars. It's all there, Lucas. I know not George Lucas, but Lucas Powers and Disney. You're watching. I know you're watching, because you guys send cryptic messages, emails to us all the time.
And the shows intentionally do things to get our reaction. I know
they do last minute edits.
Chris sees this bullshit.
They do last minute edits.
Pop song in the credits. He thinks you're gonna get Star Wars music.
Stop the press. Re-edit this because Chris, we're gonna piss him off right here. Boom.
I tell you, I swear to God, dude, so do that.
But
Ernie, blink if it's true.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah, well. Yeah. But anyway, guys, this was fun, to kind of revisit this a little bit. Talking like this does reinforce our love for the genre and not lose sight, like the name who not be named that Scott was talking about. That guy has lost some sight on actually having fun in the world, this world. I feel like there's a lot more good than it. You can't just nitpick every aspect of it and go, 99.9 was great, but this 0.1, that's it. It's destroyed. You guys, buy this, buy my version of this. It's just the grifter, if there ever was one. But I know. Hey, if it gets back to us, it get back to us. What are you gonna do? So, anyway, that was fun.
We get sued.
It's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Take a number. Yeah.
You guys are all really chill about that. That was a nice reaction. I like
Chris butt puckered right there.
Your process here, your emergency management skills are fantastic. No, I've got this down. No sweat.
I never said it.
Guys, we're in a fire drill here. We're getting sued.
But this is great to see the Fab Five here on Starlight Digest back in one room. We'll see if it continues. We'll because I said Joey could just quit, and just
quit his job.
Yeah,
just quit your job, Joey.
I'm kidding, Joey. But it's great to have you back. Even if it's a temporary thing, but this is great. Thank you, everybody in the pit. I'm going to kick it off to Ernie to kick us out of here proper, unless you guys have anything final to say.
No.
I think next week we're going to be. Before I let Ernie go off, I think next week we're going to do our trivia show. We're going to do a full-blown trivia show. None of the guys here, nobody's going to have the questions and answers but me. I won't be playing. Everybody else will be playing. There will be prizes, but you have to beat
for us, or do we have to give it to charity? You know how that goes with famous people.
The pit will get prizes. You guys are just going to have. You guys are going to have to not lose to the pit. That's all. You can't lose to them.
See, we're
times are hard. That's not to us, dude.
But
Joey's like, am I on here or the pit?
Yeah.
but you see, we're on a 5-second delay with the pit, so we win automatically.
No, it's not gonna. The way it's gonna be an automated thing. Everybody's gonna sign up. Ernie knows how this rolls because he does it on his show. It's all everybody's gonna sign up, and I could turn the delay off too, so it would be real time.
That's fine.
Yeah. So
Real
look forward to
time
that. So look forward to that. Mark your calendars, like and subscribe, because that's the only way to find out when we go do this stuff. So Ernie, I know I did most of it, but you can finish it off.
That's like our famous little move there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was perfect, man. You got it. Thanks
And
to
with that, Scott. No.
yeah.
Tashi
Sponsored.
Station Emporium.
There it is, right there as well too. Got cool things coming. Make sure you sign over to the YouTube and check out all the cool videos there as well. When you're not trying to catch up on all our shows, if you're part of the replay crew, hit that thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and tell us what we missed. What were you doing in between that time? In the dark time as well, because everybody was doing something different at that time for reals.
Hellrunner Base was just a twinkle in his mom's eye at that point.
Yeah.
So that was it. So let us know. Let us know what you were doing, what was going on. Yeah.
You could be like Gordon knocking boots.
Yeah. Gordon's all you nerds. Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are doing, you nerds.
It was probably his kilt, dude. I mean, hey, when Gordon rocks that kilt, I'm like, you want a drink? Yeah. Gordon was holding it down out there. So let us know what you had going on during your dark time, what it was, and let's share it so we can be like, oh yeah, that's right. That's where it is too. Then keep up some 24/7 Star Wars talk with our Facebook, Starlight Digest Central over there. And we have a Discord as well. You can find us on all social medias. Just look us up. We're there. Somebody will answer you. Somebody will partake in something. But, I mean, we're on that countdown to December for another brand new Disney show, even though we just said go ahead and stop them. No, there's more coming, and we want it. Yeah. We'll take it.
And never said stop. Just make them good. That's all. Just make them good.
Quality over quantity, baby.
Yeah.
Quality.
I can't wait to see what's in that garage door, right, Chris?
Can't wait.
Clicks and slowly opens up. Yeah. E.T. get in the newspaper. That's all I want. Please.
E.T. I would.
Dude, okay.
That's it.
I'll handle that. I need that. I need that to happen. I just, you know what I hate.
I know.
I understand.
So stick with us and we'll see what happens. Go tell your friends next week is trivia. It will be a fun time, and join us here for another great episode. Yeah, thanks.
Nice job.
Prizes.
Tell your friends.
Do it. High five, man. No, other side. There we go. Oh, wait. Okay. Marco.
There it is. 1, 2, 3.
Let's all hold hands. Yay. All right. With that, Scott.
Keep it nerdy. What
that
the
was
hell?
We should edit that out. That was so bad.
No, that was.
I was just trying to give a high five. You guys started holding hands. That was weird.
I know. I always take that. There's that line.
There's that line, man.
He's trying to touch your head right now.
I was.
Oh boy.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.